Oh, yeah, hang on one second. As soon as he's done. All right, we've now been joined by our third place finisher, driver of the number 14, Clint Bowyer. And Clint, thanks for being patient with us there for a second. Talk to us a little bit about your run, a solid run for your team, a third place finish. We know you always are searching for that win, but definitely a step in the right direction here at the end of the season.
Yeah, we had a fast Ford Fusion all weekend long. Our Haas automation Ford was good and qualified good, and had a catastrophe in the pits. Seems we've been struggling here lately trying to get some consistency in there, to say the least, but fell back and got back up through them and had some more trouble, and just kind of you gain some and lose some and gain some and lose some. Finally got there at the end, and I don't know. I wish they'd have got in each other one more time, and I'd have just went ahead and finished the last one off if it was down to one. But it's just product of that situation. Those guys are racing for a lot on the line, and on a green white checker at a place like this, all hell's going to break loose. The only thing I can say is why we don't race at night is beyond me here.
Come on, buddy.
Thanks, you too. We should definitely utilize those lights for something other than a green white checkered, because it's pretty damn cool under the lights.
Is that because when the lights come on, everybody loses their mind?
Well, that's pretty much standard practice for green white checkers here.
All right, and we've now been joined by our second place finisher, driver of the number 78, Martin Truex Jr. And Martin, your team, you said coming into this week that Martinsville wasn't necessarily your favorite place to race, knowing some of the finishes you've had here of most recent years. But you guys come home with a second place finish today. Talk a little bit about your run and ultimately how this plays into the quest for the playoffs the last 2 weeks here.
Yeah, it's definitely, it was just a solid weekend all in all, and, really proud of the team. We really worked hard to come here to Martinsville to try to be better than we've been. It's been, a track that throughout my career has been a tough one for me. And I feel like over the last couple of years we've gotten better and better and started to kind of unlock the secrets and figure out how to be better in the race here. We've qualified well, but have struggled, especially second half of the race. So I feel like we took a step in the right direction today, and it was perfect timing for that. Good, obviously right place, right time at the end with those guys all running into each other, and we gained a few spots. But definitely a solid run to to get fifth in both stages, and then second and final finish. So happy with the day, and I look forward to two more strong ones and go to Homestead and get after this championship.
All right, we'll take questions from Martin or Clint. If you have one, we'll start with Mike. Go ahead, Mike.
Mike Hembree, USA Today. Martin, as Clint said, all hell broke loose there. People were spinning and crashing and being really aggressive with each other. You were in a slot where you probably could have pushed Kyle up and out of the way. Did you even consider that?
Not really. No, I didn't. I don't know. After hearing the crowd in the stands, they probably would have really loved it if I did. But,
Homestead probably wouldn't have.
But, yeah. I try to race a certain way, and that's just how I race, and that's how I race tonight. So there was a hole there. I got in it and thought I had a shot of beating him fair and square. Just couldn't get the power down off of 4. So it never crossed my mind to knock him out of the way. I know he hit the 11 out of the way, and that's, I'm sure, going to be a sore subject for those two. And, seemed like a lot of guys made enemies tonight, and we didn't. I think with 3 races to go, I don't really think I want any enemies. I'm in pretty good shape, so we'll just keep doing our thing and race our race. And Texas should be a great track for us. So hopefully we'll go there next week and just continue to do what we've done all year long.
All right. Additional questions for Clint or Martin. Go ahead, Jenna.
You guys were 3rd and 4th on the overtime restart, and then it got crazy with the 18 and then the 11. Can you each talk us both through that, what you guys saw and what your instincts were on where to go and what was going to happen with those two?
I was hoping they'd wreck each other.
I was hoping he'd give me enough room, and he was hoping I'd give him enough room. We were side by side coming to the white, and I just luckily cleared him off of 4 to get down behind the 18. And when the 18 went into 1 and wheel hopped back and hit the 11 out of the way. So, if I hadn't cleared him, he would have ended up being second and possibly be the one to knock Kyle out of the way for the win. But I cleared him off of 4. So,
yeah, I just didn't get the chance. I got loose getting in and kind of got my whole rhythm screwed up for the last lap. But it's Martinsville's short track racing. You know what I mean? This is what put this sport on the map is racing like that. And it's been a while since we've seen that. And it's a breath of fresh air to get back to a short track where it can breed some of that and put on a show for the fans. I know I was entertained.
Go ahead, right back up.
This is more of a philosophy question.
Jeez, I'm gone. See you guys.
No,
Thanks.
sit down. You have teammates. I need to know. You have to answer it.
You knocked the 11 out of the way. Oh, yeah.
Oh. So are you ready? So the 22 had a tire rep, and
yes,
the 2
the
2 had checked out.
And the 2 was leading. So the 22 should have pitted.
Should the 22 have pitted?
I don't know. It's not my team. It's not my call.
But I mean, if you what from a philosophy standpoint,
I'm pretty sure Roger would have said, "Why the hell didn't you guys pit?" But I don't know. Aside from that,
that's a hindsight that reaches up and slaps you in the face afterwards. But you can't. You're in that situation. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. I mean, you gotta try. You got to give hope a chance. Maybe a caution comes out. Maybe you know what I mean. You're in trouble and you know it, and it's a bad situation. But most of the time it only gets worse, and it did for him. But at the end of the day, he's not really racing for a championship. I mean, there was a win was the only thing. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. So, I mean, all right. I haven't watched the race. When I go home and watch the race, maybe I'll agree with you. But I was competing in the race, so my philosophy was I was hoping all them Toyotas would wreck and Ford would win. That was my philosophy, if you want to be a philosopher. Yes.
All right. Any questions in the press box?
Thanks. Yeah.
All right. We'll come back
Thanks,
down.
guys.
Jacob. Thanks, Clint.
Good. Thank you.
Wait. One more. No.
No. Come on. You're busting my chops.
All right, Jacob, go ahead.
Well, Clint walked
I was
away.
really pissed off I didn't win a stage today.
Clint walked away, so I guess I'll redirect to you, Martin.
Okay.
Everybody's been talking all year about how your team hasn't necessarily been good on the short tracks. What kind of a shot in the arm is it to finally have a really good run and be able to see a possible win on that last restart at a short track?
Well, I feel like we've run really strong on the short tracks this year, obviously. If you look at the races and, leading it late at Richmond, leading the most laps there, and, we led a ton of laps in New Hampshire both times. And, I felt like the first Bristol we kind of had it won until we got speeding on pit road. So I feel like our short track program's really come a long way, especially this year. But this in particular, Martinsville, was still one that we were really working on and one that has been difficult to figure out for us. So with that said, I thought today we made a big step in the right direction. We ran fifth in the first 2 stages, and then to finish second with, was good. I thought we were a 4th to 6th place car all day long, and that's, for us, that's a positive from the spring. So just this place is so unique and so different than anywhere we go. It's just one of those places that's difficult to figure out.
Could you have done anything differently on the last lap?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of things I could have done differently, but ultimately, what I did came home second. I thought, I had like I said, a tough battle with Clint for side by side on, coming to the white, and was lucky enough to clear him, and ultimately have a shot at the lead because of the 18 and the 11 getting together. So, had I not cleared Clint, I wouldn't even had a chance. So I don't know that I would have done anything differently. I thought I the hole opened up. I drove inside of Kyle, and I wasn't just going to go in there and run into him. That's just not the way I do it. So, I think we can get to Homestead without, like I said earlier, making too many enemies, and we'll let everybody else fight, and we'll try to do our own thing.
All right, Martin. Thanks for your time
Thank
today.
you, guys.
Best of luck next week. All right. We are going to continue with our post-race media availabilities following today's first data 500, and we've now been joined by our race-winning crew chief of the number 18 M&M's Toyota, and that is Adam Stevens. And Adam, I think it's safe to say you are most likely the happiest crew chief that will leave tonight here at Martinsville. But congratulations, you guys officially locked your spot in into Homestead. You have the opportunity to go back and try to capture another championship. But before we get too deep into that, talk a little bit about today's race and ultimately the kind of crazy finish there at the end.
Gosh, I don't even know where to start. It was a crazy race. We had a good car. I don't feel like we had the best car. There were stretches where we were certainly capable of leading some laps and definitely top two. But if we just kind of lost our track position there late with a bad pit stop after having just stellar pit stops all day long, and had a slow in there at the end, and got us back in traffic and really fought the balance late. Kind of fought it all weekend, really. But the last run of the race there, everybody was just set on kill and trading paint and using the bumper and short on tempers, and it got pretty exciting, like these Martinsville races usually do.
All right, we'll go ahead and take questions for Adam. If you have one, please raise your hand, state your name and affiliation, and we'll start with Jacob.
Jacob Seelman, Race Chaser Online, Performance Motorsports Network. Adam, with the way this playoff format and especially this third round is set up, I mean, how important is it for the driver who can win this first race of the round and know that literally no matter what happens the next 2 weeks, all they have to worry about is Homestead?
Sure, it's important. You saw the guy that did it last year went and won the championship. I don't know if that bared any fruit for that, but it's what happened. We have the luxury of being able to focus on Homestead, think about Homestead, plan setups, plan practice, and think about that weekend solely. But saying that, we still need to go these next 2 weeks and execute and perform and keep some momentum. You don't want to go and perform poorly and have bad days on pit road and think you're going to flip a light switch when you get to Homestead just because you got to look at a notebook longer than somebody else. But the biggest thing is, with only taking 4 cars there and 3 races in this round, you could have 3 chase winners and only have 1 car get in on points. And with the bonus point advantage that the 78 has, if he goes and finishes top 6 or 7, which would be hard to imagine that he wouldn't do that, that you're going to get locked out. So you really need to focus on winning a race, and we were able to do that today.
All right. If we can get a microphone to Bob, please.
Bob Pockris, ESPN. How much do you expect there to be kind of bumping and wrecking of each other when this is the way the format is and there's so much reward for a win?
Yeah, I think you saw what you're going to see these next coming events. The only difference would be, when you're going 180, 185 miles an hour, it's just harder to get to somebody's bumper. But you can certainly do it when you're going 60 mid-corner at Martinsville, and it's not different than we've seen, but certainly the 3-race format and the pressure to win is so high that you see guys make some pretty desperate moves, pretty high-risk moves, and you saw a lot of that today.
All right, if we can get a mic to Mike, please.
Mike Hember, USA Today. Congratulations on surviving it all. What's your perspective on what's acceptable and what's not in that last 10-lap scenario? Is it okay to bump and run, but not okay to slam somebody into the outside wall and crash their car? Is there some kind of line there or not?
Yeah, of course there is. But your version of bump and run might be my version of slam, and somebody else, and that's just racing to somebody else. So, that's kind of up to the drivers to sort out. and they're probably going to have a lot of conversations in the near future and maybe some payback too. I don't really know, but thankfully we're not a part of that. We have been a part of it in the past on both the giving and probably the receiving side. So it's part of the sport, and when you amp up the pressure, you're going to get more of it.
All right, Janet, go ahead.
Adam, I asked Truex and Bowyer, they were in here before you, this question. It's more of a philosophy question. Let's say you had you had already been eliminated from the playoffs, and you were the 22 situation, got that tire rub. Mm-hmm. Would you have come in as if your teammate was leading under green to fix that? Instead, he brought the caution out, and it sort of changed the whole. I mean, what's the thinking there?
I mean, certainly if you felt like your opportunity to win was gone, then I would say yes. Because last thing you want to do as a competitor is to put your own teammate at a disadvantage. If you were still in a position where you could win the race, then I think you would have to take the chance that tire was going to be okay. I've seen tires smoke egregiously and not blow out. It's just a matter of where they're rubbing and how hard they're rubbing. So I think you have to kind of evaluate it that way.
Okay. I believe we had another question right here. Thank you.
When you talk to the fans out there, they say what they saw at the end was a little dirty. Do you think it was dirty?
You're going to have to be more specific because there were so many people hitting each other. I don't really know.
Demi Hamlin did.
You really have to see the steering and throttle trace to really know what was going on. I'm not an expert, and I wasn't driving either car, but I definitely saw the 24 not leave the 11 a lane and kind of chop him on exit, and then it looked like he really slowed down but an amount that Denny wasn't expecting getting into the corner. That's what I saw. But, them two will have to go over that. I honestly don't know if that's what happened, but that's what it looked like to me.
All right. Any questions in the press box for Adam? All right. Any questions back downstairs? All right. We'll go to Bob.
What are you going to do the next 2 weeks?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm going to find a cup of coffee and see if I can get warm immediately is what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to work. Going to work my guts out like I do every week. And we've only got 3 weeks to go. We're going to go try to build some momentum, have some strong finishes and good pit stops, really focus on pit practice, really focus on Homestead, review the notes from the 78 and the 11 tests and our past notes and see if we can put a setup together and a practice plan and a race plan and go down there and race for a championship.
All right. Take an additional question.
I'm a Martinsville local with Star News, and a lot of effort's been done to get these lights up and so forth. How was it racing under the lights for the first time?
It was really cool. If it was June or August or something and it was 75 or 80 outside, I'd say I absolutely loved it. The 2-day show I thought was great. It was packed for a crew chief and a team. There was a lot going on. I did like the lights. They were certainly bright enough, and I thought it was a pretty cool show, just a little chilly.
All right, Dustin, go ahead.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. In 2015, you didn't have that win to get into Homestead, so you had to hustle it through each of the 3 rounds. How, even as you still want to continue that momentum, how does that change things? How does that change in how you approach, and what did you learn from that 2000? Is there anything you can take from that 2015 experience?
Yeah, I mean, there's something you learn every time you go to the racetrack, but certainly having been part of the playoffs the previous 2 years and making it all the way to Homestead, they were both very different, but we had to get in on points both times. And in 15, we had to get through the first round and the second round by the skin of our teeth. And then and the third round was actually the easiest round as far as pressure, just by the way it played out. Last year it came down to the wire. It came down to the finish at Phoenix, if I recall. And, that's going to be the same this year for the rest of the competitors, I would say. So you just not having that stress and being able to focus on the big picture and the task at hand is a huge relief. And hopefully that bears some fruit for us at Homestead.
So how much do you spend on Homestead now that you wouldn't have, or is that just other people know that the targets are all
Well, we're still trying to get the 11 down there too. So it's week to week. But certainly, you'll have to you're always looking forward, even through the season. You're not just looking at next week. You're looking 2 and 3 and 4 weeks ahead. So, I'm just going to have to carve a little time out of the next 2 and push that to the Homestead side. I couldn't really give you a percentage at this point, but definitely be thinking about Homestead.
All right. Well, Adam, we appreciate your time. You are currently successfully pulling off being in 2 places at once, as your interview is currently being piped in on TV as well. But
awesome, thanks.
Congratulations again on your win.
All right, thank you.
And we wish you the best of luck over the next couple weeks.
Want me to stand under it?
Yeah. All right. We have now been joined by our race winner, driver of the number 18 M&M's Toyota, Kyle Busch, and Coy Gibbs, who is the director of race services at Joe Gibbs Racing. And Kyle, we'll start with you. Obviously, congratulations on the win today, and officially clinching your spot into the playoffs, or I should say into Homestead. Talk a little bit about the race, how it played out, and ultimately being able to come home in victory lane today.
Yeah, it was a good day for us. We weren't great, but we just kind of kept ourselves running up front all day long. Awesome pit stops kept us up there as well too, and being able to have a really good M&M's Toyota today. It was I thought there when we got the lead that it was going to be our day the rest of the way, but just wasn't meant to be. We just kind of lost the handle on it there right at the end of the stage 2 and just wasn't quite able to get it back. A couple of those other guys really got good going there at the end. Brad, the 22, the 24, and so it was just chaos kind of there at the end and just what all was happening with those restarts. So you just kind of had to stay on your toes and try to keep your nose clean, kind of try to stay out of trouble. And fortunately, we were able to keep our back bumper clean and clear, and then race for the win there on that last restart with the 11 and was able to bring it home. So real proud of all of our guys, our whole team, and being able to get ourselves another opportunity to go race for a championship here this year.
And Coy, for you, just talk a little bit about what it means to the team to have Kyle and the number 18 team locked in for Homestead, and kind of how your organization will approach the next couple weeks.
Don't give away all the secrets.
No, we're obviously really excited. Not only for our family, but just for Joe Gibbs Racing, and obviously for Kyle, Mars, all our sponsors. I think it was, you look back on the year, there's so many times when Kyle was the fastest car and we didn't win. So this is kind of a reverse for us, but we'll gladly take it, and it locks us up into the chase. So we'll move forward with that.
All right, we'll take questions for Kyle or Coy. If you have one, please raise your hand, state your name and affiliation. Anybody? All right, we'll start with Jacob, go to Bob, and then Jeff.
Jacob Zillman, Race Chaser Online Performance Motorsports Network. Kyle, after watching how relatively calm yesterday's truck race was, and then really the first 300 or so of this race today, is it always kind of in the back of your guys' minds that the chaos that happened at the end is a possibility here? And then are you, in a way, is it a good thing for you that you got to the victory but really don't have anybody mad at you leaving here?
Yeah, that's not the norm for me, or what? Typically, I try to race well, try to race clean, try to do a good job to leave here with not too many people mad at me. But we kept our nose clean all day long. It was a great opportunity for us to have a fast race car. We just kind of ran, first, second, third, fourth all day long, and was going to probably finish fourth. Except there was a couple opportunities there at the end where I was able to find a hole, and the 22 kind of closed it. They were getting into turn 1, and a lot of things started happening there. But then, the 24 and the 11 getting into it with one another, the C's just kind of kept parting for us and kept opening up for us to be able to get up closer to the front. And, we were able to take advantage of that today. So just really anxious, I guess, to race for a championship again, and excited about that, and being able to go to Homestead now and not necessarily have to fret over the next 2 weeks. And, we'll focus on the next 2 weeks and being able to go race for wins still in order to kind of keep everybody on their toes and everybody worried about whether or not they'll get through on points or not. But we'll see what happens.
All right, Bob, go ahead.
Bob Hockers, ESPN. Denny said he didn't think you'd move him, but all is fair in love and war when it comes to Homestead. Is it fun to race with that seeming to be the case, and is pretty much everything fair when it comes to this system?
life ain't fair, bud. So, it was what's fair is and what's not is irrelevant. I just think that when it comes down to the end of the race and you're racing for a win like that and you see the white flag waving, you got it, and the door kind of cracks its way open a little bit. You got to put your foot in there and go get it. So that was our opportunity to punch our ticket to be able to go to Homestead. And Denny thought the same thing, racing with the 24. And obviously I kind of moved him out of the way, didn't crash him or anything like that, and was able to go on and get the checkered flag today. So great for our team, great for Joe Gibbs Racing still to have a car solid and in at Homestead. The 11 still's got a great shot. They got speed. They're fast each and every week. So look forward to seeing them get their way through it, whether it's Texas or Phoenix, and hopefully we can have 2 cars there at Homestead like we did last year with myself and Carl.
All right, Jeff, go ahead.
Jeff Gluck from jeffgluck.com. How fine of a line is it between moving somebody and wrecking somebody? Because, Denny said that he was trying to do the same thing that you did to him, or, that Chase did to Kozlowski, try to move him up the track. He ends up wrecking Chase. Is it, like, when you guys are trying to move somebody, are you on the edge of wrecking? Like, how close is that?
It depends. When you're racing somebody, like when I was on the inside of Denny getting into turn 1, I was all over the brakes, and I got some wheel hop and got loose and kind of washed up into him and kind of moved him too far out of the way. I didn't want to move him that far out of the way, and then it kind of gave the 78 the inside on me, so that wasn't my intent down there. But down in 3 and 4 coming to the white, when that door opened a little bit, I stuck my nose in there, and he was on his way back down to kind of diamond the corner, if you will. And I just didn't allow him to have that diamond on the exit, so you had to get in there and root and grouge a little bit. It's Martinsville. It's racing. Our car was relatively clean for much of the day, and we were able to win it. So it's a tough balance sometimes. You got to know who you're racing, when you're racing, what you're racing for. All those sorts of things go into play. I think we all kind of understand what the situation was, which is obviously win and you go to Homestead. So fortunate for us to have that.
All right, Jim, go ahead.
Jim Utter, motorsport.com. Times change, the aero package has changed, but how much will it help that you've gone through this experience and come out on top with the last winner take all race at Homestead?
Yeah, it's it's going to be a tough race. It's never easy. All the championship 4 are going to be fast. It is every single time we go down there. It's crazy to look at it today. How many of the championship guys were right up front in the top 6, top 7. So. That's just kind of the way this business is. When it comes down to the end of the season, the cream will always rise, and those guys will always be a part of the race, and be a factor. So we go to Homestead not knowing who our other 3 compadres are yet, but I feel as though the 78 will be one of those, and whether or not the 11 can be another one of those, and if it's going to be the 2 or the 4 or whoever, maybe even the 24 or the 21 for as fast as the 21 was at Texas. Who knows? So I think it's kind of wide open to see how that's going to play out for the rest of the playoff contenders.
All right, additional questions? Yes.
Charles Rourke, Star News. When the wreck with Demi and Chase happened, the fans are going dirty. Do you think that was dirty?
I don't know. I haven't seen the whole entirety of that crash. I just saw it from behind, and I couldn't tell whether or not he was there or wasn't there. So I have to reserve my comments till I see it.
All right, Bob.
Bob Parker's ESPN. Were you surprised that Logano didn't pit, or did it look like when his tire was rubbing, or did it look like he was able to hang on somewhat decently?
I was surprised. When it's rubbing that bad, you've got about 5, 6, 7 laps. I think we saw it with McMurray here in the spring. He had the same thing happen to him. So what's crazy is I actually smelt it go from rubber to cords and knew it was coming. I knew he didn't have much time left. So I hate it that all that stemmed that way. But when you're racing for a championship like myself, you put yourself in that spot down the front straightaway 3 wide, and they all kind of came down and crowded me, and I then was hard on the brakes to back out of it. But ultimately, it's too late, and they didn't give enough room to me. So we all kind of got together there, and then I was back on his inside again after he got it all gathered back up, and he just ran me in the grass again. So, it's just kind of crazy that he don't have anything to lose. I have everything to lose. So it's just a product of racing here and coming down to the end of the race at Martinsville. You're trying to get all the spots you can because you know that each and every little point is going to be important. If he No team orders. Not on that one. I think I was just in front of him. I had just passed him. Yeah. So I was in front of him when finally I heard caution was out. So.
Would you have expected one of your teammates to pit if they were not in the playoffs in that situation?
I mean, I think we all got to be smarter for our company. Certainly, I think Logano lost his opportunity, lost his chance to win. I think they're not really racing for anything, if you will. Obviously, they're racing for spots and points to be as high as they can, but when you got to look at the greater good of the company, I would like to expect that our guys are smart enough to do that. Right, Coy?
Jacob, go ahead.
Jacob Seelman, Race Chaser Online Performance Motorsports Network. Coy, Kyle came back from injury, won the championship 2 years ago. Now he's got another shot to deliver you guys a championship. What have you seen grow in him since he came back a couple years ago into the seat, and how important has he been to the organization just from an overall strength standpoint the last couple years?
I wasn't there a couple of years ago. I didn't get to follow it all the way through. My brother was still up here, and my father. So I didn't see that side of it. I've just seen this side recently since I've been over here, and obviously he's extremely important to us, our organization, our family, and he's a phenomenal driver. So it's perfect. It's what we want. You want a bunch of them if you can get them. But Kyle's
for a long time. I haven't changed a bit. Right?
Kyle might have changed a little bit. I remember sitting next to him when he couldn't race the truck race because you were too young.
Yeah.
And I was like, good. Now I don't have to race against him. So, no, but it's obviously, it's been great. Been great for the family. Great partner. Great person to work with since I've been there.
All right, Caleb, go ahead.
Caleb Whistler, KickingTheTires.net. Kyle, how did the complexion of this race change from the beginning with it being overcast to the sun coming out to transitioning to being under the lights?
There was a lot of transition today, but I thought when our car was the best was there when the sun was out. We were leading, the sun was out. I don't know whether the ambient temp raised at all, but maybe the track temp did a little bit with the sun being on the track for the 30 laps that it was, but after that it just started cooling down and just started getting worse for us, so I do better here when it's warmer out than when it's cold out for some reason. I'm not sure what it is, but we just definitely got to continue to work on that and make ourselves better in colder degrees, temperatures. When we were here during the test, it was mid 80s and we were flying, we were fast, we were really, really good, so we were really excited about coming here, and we showed some of that speed yesterday. We were really good. Everybody was kind of focused on us and looking at us as being the best car, and then it cooled off and got cold, and we were only fourth place. So there's something that I'm just kind of missing here when it's cool out, and I got to figure it out.
All right, any questions in the press box? Try again, please.
Chris Knight, catchfence.com. Kyle, going to Texas next week. I know the tracks are completely different, but is there anything that you can do at Texas that maybe prepare you guys for Homestead as far as setup or anything during the race that you guys can do?
No, not really, because Homestead is relatively old surface now. It's wearing, getting some age on it. So Texas being a fresh repave the last time we were there, I heard a lot of the colors kind of come out of it. So it'll be interesting to see what the racetrack looks like when we get there next week. But it's not going to be close enough that we're going to have enough to be able to learn and set up anything for going into Homestead. So we'll not really focus on too much of what we do in Texas to worry about Homestead. We'll just do it one race at a time here until we get there.
All right, any additional questions in the press box? All right, any additional questions downstairs? Okay, we'll take a final question here.
Obviously, with the lights, a lot of work has been put into that, and we hear about the LED lights having no shadows and all that. Did you experience any of that today with the lights?
I thought when the track transitioned from day to night, I thought everything was good. I didn't have any issues at all with the lights coming on, finishing the race under the darkness. I just think that Mother Nature didn't really help things with us for as cold as it was today. Yesterday was awesome. It would have been nice to race with a warmer day for all the fans and everybody in the grandstands. And, maybe one of these days with schedule realignments and whatnot, we'll come here sooner in the year and we'll have a full-fledged night race. So we'll see how that goes.
All right, for Kyle, Coy, congratulations again.
Thanks.
And we appreciate you guys spending some time with us.